Today we are going to discuss about the fibula bone. Okay, so this is the fibula bone. So fibula bone is the lateral bone of leg. It is the post axial bone which is homologous with the ulna of the upper limb. Okay, and it is also called as perona because of its arrow shape. In Latin, the fibula means pin. Okay, so this bone is long pin-like. That's why it is named as fibula bone. Okay, and this fibula bone is do not transmit the body weight from the femur to the foot, and the only function, the main function of these fibula is for gives attachment for the muscles. Okay, that is about the introduction of the fibula. It is a long bone. So for any long bone, you will have the three parts, all of you know, upper end, lower end and intervening shaft is there. Okay, so here the upper end is also called as head. Okay, between the head and this intervening shaft you will have the constricted area is present, it is called as neck. So for the tibia we will have the four parts, upper end it is also called head, then we will have the neck, then shaft, then we will have the lower end. Now coming to this upper end. Okay, if you see the upper end, we will have the three characteristic features. These are the first one is the rounded or circular articular facet. Okay, this facet is articulates with the lateral condyle of the tibia. Okay, articular facet, it is articulates with the lateral condyle of tibia. Posterior lateral to these articular facet we will have the styloid process. Okay, this styloid process is gives attachment for the fibular collateral ligament and arcuate ligament of knee joint. Okay, fibular collateral ligament and arcuate ligament of knee joint. In front of this styloid process we will have the sloping surfaces there. Okay, in front of the styloid process we will have the sloping surface. This sloping surface gives insertion for the biceps femoris muscle. Okay, the sloping surfaces gives insertion for gives attachment for the insertion of biceps femoris. Okay, that is about the three characteristic features of the upper end. So in the upper end we will have the articular facet, posterior lateral to the articular facet we will have the styloid process. In front of the styloid process we will have the sloping surfaces there, gives attachment for the biceps femoris. Okay, that is about the upper end. Next coming to the neck. What is neck? So it is the constricted area which is present between the upper end and this shaft. Okay, so this constricted area is called as neck. Okay, so the neck laterally it is directly come in contact with the common peroneal nerve. Medially it is come in contact with the anterior tibial vessels. Okay, that is about the neck. Next coming to the intervening shaft. Intervening shaft. Okay. Next coming to the shaft. The shaft have three borders. Here these are the anterior border. Then we will have the medial border. Okay, medial border, and we will have the posterior border. Okay, the posterior border, and then we will have the anterior border, then medial border, medial to this anterior border, just to 5 mm medial to this medial border we will have the another border. This is called as medial border. Next posteriorly we will have the posterior border. Okay, let us discuss one by one. Okay, first we will discuss the anterior border. Here you can see the anterior border. Okay, see this anterior border gives attachment for the anterior intermuscular septum. This anterior border gives attachment for the intermuscular septum, anterior intermuscular septum. Okay, if you trace below, this anterior border splits and it forms a triangular area. Okay, it splits and forms a triangular area. This triangular area is continuous below on the lateral aspect of the lower end. Okay, lateral aspect of the lower end. Here you can see clearly, you can see that this triangular area. Okay, it is subcutaneous. Okay, it is subcutaneous. The anterior border. Okay, the anterior border of this triangular area gives attachment for the superior extensor retinaculum. The posterior border of this triangular area gives attachment for the superior peroneal retinaculum. Okay, anterior margin gives attachment for the superior extensor retinaculum. This posterior margin for this triangular area gives attachment for the superior perineal retinaculum. Okay, and this below surface it is subcutaneous. Okay, it is subcutaneous. Okay, and above here this anterior border is pierced by the deep peroneal nerve. Okay, this anterior border is pierced by the deep peroneal nerve. Okay, that is about the anterior border. Just 2 to 5 mm, just medial to the anterior border, we will have the another border is present. It is called as medial border. Okay, just medial to the anterior border. Okay, so this is the medial border. Okay, which lies just medial to the anterior border. This medial border. It is also called as interosseous border. Okay, because it is gives attachment for the interosseous membrane. That's why it is called as interosseous border. Okay, this medial border, if you trace below, this medial border is continuous with the rough triangular area. Okay, rough triangular area which is present on the lower end. Okay, so this triangular area it articulates with the fibular notch of the tibia. It is articulates with the fibular notch of the tibia. That is about this medial border. Okay, I am showing very clearly the medial border. It is like just medial to the anterior border here. Okay, so if you trace below, it is continuous with the rough triangular area. Okay, which gives attachment for the fibular notch of the tibia. Okay. Okay. Next, coming to the, if you go anti-clockwise, we will have the posterior border. Another border is there, that is the posterior border. Okay, posterior border. Okay, if you trace the posterior border below, okay, posterior border below it is continuous with the lateral margin of the groove. Okay, here we will have the groove. Is it not groove? Okay, lateral margin of the groove which present on the lower end of posterior surface of the lower end of the fibula. Okay, so this posterior border is below, it is continuous with the lateral margin of the groove which is present on the posterior surface of the lower end. Okay, so that is about this posterior border. Okay, it gives attachment for the posterior intermuscular septum, posterior intermuscular septum, posterior border. Okay, now coming to the surfaces. Okay, so between the anterior border and the medial border, we will have the surface is called as medial surface. Between the anterior border and the medial border is the medial surface. It is also called as extensor surface. It is also called as extensor surface. Why? Because it gives origin for the extensor compartment of leg muscles. Okay, extensor compartment of leg muscles. Okay, and between this anterior border and the posterior border, we will have the lateral surface. Okay, we will have the lateral surface. Between the anterior border and the posterior border, we will have the lateral surface. Okay, this lateral surface is also called as peroneal surface. Why? Because it gives attachment for the peroneal muscles, lateral compartment of leg muscles. That's why this surface is also called as peroneal surface. Okay, so that is about the medial surface. It is also called as extensor surface. Lateral surface is also called as peroneal surface. Okay, if you the remaining surface between the medial border and this posterior border, we will have the remaining surface is called as posterior surface. Okay, see here, first if we see from the anterior border, first we will have the anterior border, medial to the anterior border we will have the medial border. If we go anti-clockwise, if you go anti-clockwise, you will have a crust is there, vertical ridge is there on the posterior surface. This crust, vertical ridge is called as medial crust. Okay, so this medial crust is divides the posterior surface into anterior concave part or concave area and posterior flat area. Okay, so this medial crust is divides the posterior surface into anterior concave area, posterior flat area. Okay, okay, so this is the medial crust. Medial crust divides the posterior surface into anterior concave area and the posterior flat area. Okay, next, now coming to the what are the attachments to these surfaces. Okay, here I am showing the diagrams. So if you see the medial surface, this medial surface gives origin for the extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus and peroneus tertius muscles. Okay, extensor digitorum longus, it is originated from the whole width of the upper 1/4 and anterior half of the middle 2/4 of this medial surface. Extensor digitorum longus is originated from the whole width of the upper 1/4 and anterior half of the middle 2/4 of this medial surface. Next, extensor hallucis longus, it is originated from the posterior half of the middle 2/4 of the medial surface. Okay, posterior half of the middle 2/4 of this medial surface. The lower 1/4 of the medial surfaces gives origin for the peroneus tertius muscle. Okay, so these are the three muscles which are originated from the medial surface: extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus and peroneus tertius. Next, coming to the posterior surface, we are already discussed this posterior surface is divides into anterior concave area and posterior flat area by the medial crust. Okay, so this medial crust divides this posterior surface into two parts. Okay, so the flat upper 1/4 of the lateral area gives origin for the soleus muscle. Okay, so soleus muscle is originated from both the tibia and the fibula. Okay, soleus muscle is originated from the upper 1/4 of the lateral area of this posterior surface. Next, flexor hallucis longus, it is originated from this lower 1/3/4 of the lateral area of the posterior surface, flexor hallucis longus, and also the tibialis posterior. Okay, the red one. Okay, tibialis posterior, it is originated from the upper 2/3 of the grooved surface between the medial crust and the medial border. Okay, upper 2/3 of the grooved area between the medial crust and the medial border. Okay, that is, these are the attachments of the posterior surface. Next, coming to the lateral surface. Okay, so this lateral surface gives origin for the only two muscles. These are peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. Longus and the brevis. Okay, so the upper 1/3 and posterior half of the middle 1/3 of these lateral surfaces gives origin for the peroneus longus, and the anterior half of the middle 1/3 and lower 1/3 of these lateral surfaces gives origin for the peroneus brevis. Okay, peroneus longus and the peroneus brevis. Okay, so these are the muscular attachments for the anterior, for the medial surface, lateral surface and the posterior surface. Okay, all of you clear? Next, coming to the lower end. Okay, the lower end it is expanded anterior posteriorly and which forms this lateral malleolus. Okay, lateral malleolus. So this lower end have the lateral surface, medial surface, posterior surface, and we will have the anterior border and the tip. Okay, for the lower end we will have the lateral surface, medial surface, posterior surface, anterior border and the tip. Okay, so if you see this lateral surface, we will have it is subcutaneous. Above it is continuous with this anterior border. Above it is continuous with this anterior border. It is subcutaneous. Okay, and if you see the medial surface, okay, if you see the medial surface, will have the articular facet. Okay, triangular articular facet is there. Okay, this articular facet is articulates with the talus, lateral surface of the talus. Okay, lateral surface of the body of the talus. Okay, if you see below and behind this articular surface, we will have the fossa is present. Okay, this fossa is called as articulum, malleolar fossa. Okay, below and behind this articular surface, we will have the malleolar fossa is present. Okay, malleolar fossa. Okay, this malleolar fossa is gives attachment for the posterior tibiofibular ligament and posterior talofibular ligament. It gives attachment for the two ligaments. These are the posterior tibiofibular ligament, posterior talofibular ligament. Okay, that is about the malleolar fossa. Next, coming to this anterior border. This anterior border is gives attachment for the anterior talofibular ligament. Anterior talofibular ligament. If you see this tip of this lateral malleolus, we will have the groove. Okay, this groove is for the gives attachment for the calcaneofibular ligament. Calcaneofibular ligament. Okay, so that is about this tip. Okay, and if you see the posterior surface, okay, if you see the posterior surface, okay, we will have the groove. Okay, we will have this groove. Okay, this groove lodges the tendon of peroneus brevis and peroneus longus tendons. Okay, both are covered by common synovial sheet, which are passes below the superior peroneal retinaculum. Okay, so that is about the lower end of the fibula. Okay, if you see the lower end, we will have the articular facet on the medial surface. We will have the malleolar fossa, and lateral surface is subcutaneous. Along the anterior border and the tip, we will have the ligamentular attachments, and posteriorly we will have the groove for the peroneus muscles, tendons. Okay, next, coming to this anatomical position and site determination of the fibula. Okay, first identify this malleolar fossa. Okay, first identify the malleolar fossa of this lower end and place this malleolar fossa of this end is lower. Then the rounded upper expanded part should be faces upwards. Okay, and the articular surface which is present on the medials, along the medial surface of the lateral malleus should be faces medially. Okay, articular facet on the lateral malleus should be faces medially. The malleolar fossa should be on below and behind this articular facet. Okay, below and behind this articular facet, triangular articular facet, we have the malleolar fossa. Okay, and put your thumb in the malleolar fossa, which should be on the posterior aspect. Okay, always hold the fibula with the thumb and index finger, which side it is belongs to, and hold the fibula with the thumb and index finger by putting your fingers within this malleolar fossa. Okay, so this malleolar fossa should be on the below and behind the medial surface. So by these features I am saying this fibula is right fibula. Okay, I am again telling about the site determination. Okay, this triangular articular facet which is present on the lateral malleolus should be on the middle side. Below and behind we have the malleolar fossa. Okay, and upper expanded should be faces upwards. Okay, these are the identification points for the site determination of the fibula. Okay, next, coming to the ossification of this fibula. So this fibula is ossified from the three ossification centers, one for upper end, one for lower end, and one for the shaft. Okay, so the ossification center for the shaft is which appears at the 8th week of intrauterine life, And for the lower end, the ossification center is, the secondary center is appears at the age of 1 to 2 years and unites with the shaft at the age of 18th year. Okay, for the upper end, the ossification center is appears at the age of 3 to 4 years and fuses with the shaft at the age of 28th year. Okay, and one more thing is this fibula is violated the law of union of epiphyses. Okay, normally what is this law? The secondary ossification center which appears first is united with the shaft later, but here the lower end ossification center is appears early and fuses with the shaft is early. Okay, why? Because here the epiphysis for the lower end is the pressure epiphysis. The epiphysis for the upper end is traction epiphysis. That's why the lower end epiphysis is appears early and fuses with the shaft is early. Okay, that is about the fibula. Okay, and also the fibula is most common bone which is used for the bone grafting. Most common bone which is used for the bone grafting. Okay, and that is the applied aspect. And next, coming to the this is the transverse section at the level of leg, middle 1/3 of the leg. Okay, here you can see the tibia bone and we have the fibula bone. Okay, so for the tibia bone we will have the anterior border, medial border and lateral border is there. Anterior border is also called as shin border. It is the medial surface is subcutaneous. Okay, so along the lateral border we will have the interosseous membrane is attached. Okay, if you see the fibula, we will have the anterior border and medial border, anterior border and the posterior border. Okay, so this is the medial surface and all this is the posterior surface. Here we have the lateral surface. Okay, along the anterior border we will have the anterior intramuscular septum is attached. Along the posterior border we will have the posterior intramuscular septum is attached. Okay, these two septums along with the interosseous membrane divides the leg into 3 compartments. Okay, so these are the anterior compartment, posterior compartment and lateral compartment. Anterior compartment of leg is also called as extensor compartment of leg. Okay, posterior compartment of leg is also called as flexor compartment of leg. Okay, lateral compartment of leg is also called as peroneal compartment. Okay, and one more thing, if you see here, this is all this posterior surface of fibula now. Okay, so this along this posterior surface we will have the medial crust is there. This medial crust is divides the posterior surface into anterior concave area and the posterior flat area. Okay, anterior concave area and the posterior flat area. Okay, so that is about the compartments of the leg. Okay.